Welcome back. Yeah, I'm going to teach you guys how to load a tiled map into a libGDX game. If you don't have tiled, you should check out the other tutorial that I'm going to make about downloading tiled and using tiled. But if you don't want to watch a tutorial, just go to tinycountrygames.com. Here, I'll put it in a comment. https://tinycountrygames.com/gamedev/downloads, and the link is at the bottom. So just go to this right here and you'll find it. Let me make this. There we go. Alright, so I have a basic class set up. I'm going to now let's just make a very simple tile set. So I'm going to open up Paint. I'm going to take a bit. There we go. So make a new image. I'm just going to make it 64 by 32. So it's going to be well, actually it's going to be easier if I just make it 32 first. I'm just going to make one that's it's going to be green and red. Ugh, my computer is being super slow. But it's going to be green and red, basically. And yeah, we're just going to have a little thing. So let's select green here. Fill it. Select it as my secondary color, so I can just do this nice and quickly. 64. There we go. So we have green and red. So we're going to save this. I'm going to save this into a folder in Game Dev Club, Tutorials, Assets, Tile Map, Tutorials, Maps. It's going to be our tiles.png. Alright, it's important that you save it in the same folder that you're going to save your maps in. So, same thing, we're going to make a new map. Just going to make it whatever. Make sure it's orthogonal, base 64, and all this stuff is the same here. Well, this doesn't really matter, but this does. And make sure your tile size is 32 by 32, or however big you made your tiles. Alright, so we're going to import a new tile set. You know, basically how do you use tiled. Alright. Open your image. Click OK. So as you see here, we have tile layer 1. We're going to keep that way. Then, you know, you can just draw around whatever. Let's get some red in there. Fill that in with red. You know, get some red there too. Alright, and then we're going to make another layer. We're going to make an objects layer. Name it object layer 1. Make sure you use the ellipse because that's how our thing reads objects. We're just going to put ellipses everywhere. Doesn't really matter where, but when we make the game, I wouldn't put them on top of tiles because these will be like objects, like coins and enemies and whatnot. So then you're going to save it. Save it in the same folder where you saved your image. So assets, maps. I'm just going to name this map 1. Alright. So now in our project, all we have to do is all you have to do is drag and drop this folder into assets, and there you go. We're ready with everything we need from tiled. Okay, so first things first, we're going to actually make the world class. So go ahead and go into new class, name it world, and to make it quickly, just do constructors from superclass, which is just a empty constructor. So first things first, we're gonna make 2 arrays. So private array, one that's an array of rectangles, call it bounds, and one that's an array of vector 2s, and we're going to call it objects. Alright, so import everything. Alright, that's great. Now instantiate them. So bounds equals new array rectangle, and objects is going to be a new array of vector2. Alright, so then we also need some stuff for the tiled map. So we need a private tiled map, tile map, and a private orthogonal tiled map renderer, TMR, and we need a private float tile size. This float will represent the size of the tiles. Make sure to import these two. Alright, so now we're going to make a private void create tiles. Alright, and then we're just going to call this in a constructor. Alright, so we're gonna instantiate our tile map. So tile map equals new TMX map loader, because we're using the TMX map type here. Loader, we want it, a new one, dot load. No, we're gonna put our name of our map, so map/map1.tmx. Alright, so then import that. And then TMR equals new orthogonal tiled map renderer tile map. We give it the map that it's going to render, and tile size is equal to tile map dot get properties. If I can get it. Get properties dot get. You want this one. Tile width and integer dot class. We're giving it what type of class it's getting it. So yeah. Tiled map layer ground. This will be our layer 1, and we want a map layer, which is our object layer. So object, and import those two. Oh, sorry, it's tiled map tile layer, and you import that. Okay, so now you want to instantiate these two. So ground equals tiled. You want to cast a tiled map tile layer to tile map dot get layers. Oops. Dot get layers dot get, and you want to give it a string, which is the name. So tile layer 1, as we gave it that name in tiled, as you can see. Okay, so then you want to also do that for object. So object is equal to, or you're not casting anything, tile map dot get layers. Oops. Dot get layers dot get string name. Get object layer 1. Alright, so now we're going to make another method. We're actually going to make two methods. So we're going to make a private void create layer tiled map tile layer, and we're going to also give it an array of rectangles. Oops. We're going to give it an array of rectangles r rect. Alright, and then we're going to call that here create layer with our ground layer, and bounds Forgot my comma. Alright, and then we're also going to do the same thing with our object. So we're going to create object layer, and give it map layer, and an array of vector2 objects. Private void, sorry. And we're also going to call that up here. So create object layer, object and objects. Make sure that there's a difference. So first things first, we're going to do our create layer. So we're going to do a nested for loop. So for int row. Now this is in tiles. So if there's 60 tiles, then there's 60 or if it's 60 tiles high, then it's 60 rows. But the actual height is the amount of tiles times the size of the map, or times the size of the tiles. So it'd be times 32. So row is less than layer dot get height, and then it's going to be row plus plus. So then for int column equals 0, so same deal. Column is less than layer dot get width column plus plus. Alright, so now you're going to get the cell. The cell is pretty much the layer. Cell equals layer dot get cell, column. Now this is in terms of tiles, so we use the tiles. And now we have to check if there's actually something there or not. We want to make sure you import tile map layer cell. We want to make sure if there's something there. So if cell is equal to null, continue. So do not execute the rest of the loop. Same. We also want to double check with the get tile. Always good to double check. And then rect.add. So this only happens if you if there's something there. This is the for physics. We're adding rectangles. So column times tile size, row times tile size, because this is using game coordinates, not map coordinates. Tile size for the width and the height. So tile size, tile size. Alright, so that's that. That would create our tile, our layer for the, So now we want to do map objects. For map objects, import that mo in layer dot get objects, and we're going to do ellipse e equals we're going to cast ellipse map object to mo, and then we're going to get ellipse. Alright, import everything. Make sure you're doing gdx.math.ellipse. Alright, and then we're going to do float x equals e.x and float y equals e.y, and then we're going to do objects dot add new vector 2 x and y. Alright, sorry about that beeping. It was because I have to have the sound for caps lock on my computer. Alright, so that's that. Now we're going to make a render method. So public void render, and it's going to take in an orthographic camera cam. Actually, when we make this in our actual games, it's going to take the my camera class that we made. change to orthographic. So yeah, so tmr.setView. This is telling it to render according to what's on the camera, and then tmr.render. Easy. Alright, oh, and let's make some getters and setters. So source, generate getters and setters, bounds and objects, after render. Alright, so you should have get bounds, get objects, and set objects. Alright, so let's go into our game class. So first I'm going to make the world W, and we want an orthographic cam, and shape render. Okay, so import everything. Now in your create method, you're going to do w equals new world, and then float width equals gdx.graphics.getWidth, float height equals gdx.graphics.getHeight, and then cam equals new orthographic camera width and height, and then cam.translate width times 0.5f, height times 0.5f. So moving it to the center. Cam.update. Of course, if you were using the my camera class, this would be easier, but I don't want to make that right now. Equals new shape render. Alright, so once everything is instantiated, we're going to go into our render method. First, we're going to add a little bit of input. So we're going to do if gdx.input. Of course, we would be using our myInput class for this, but I'm not making that right now, so we're not. .y++. Now we're going to copy this, so this is up, down, left, right. Down, so then this is minus, minus. And this is going to be right, so it's x++. And this is left, which is x minus, minus. And cam.update. Alright, and then we're going to do w.render cam. Alright, and then dispose, we're just going to do sr.dispose. And once you run it, you'll see that our map that we created is getting rendered. And it moves, of course, very slowly because low frame rate and we're only moving 1 pixel at a time. Alright, so now let's make sure that the physics of everything is there. So that's sr.begin, shape type dot line, sr.set projection matrix, cam dot combined, and then do for rectangle r in w.getBounds, sr.rect, r.x, hold on, you actually have to go into r dot and then press enter for what you want, and then he'll automatically import. That's just a nice thing that Eclipse does. R dot. Alright, so that's done. So you can see that, well, hold on, sr.end first. You can see that our shapes are being, you can see that our boundaries were created according to the tiles. These are all rectangles that we can then use for physics. And as you can see, if we get rid of these continues, it'll just fill the whole map with rectangles. So that's why they're necessary. so that it only fills where tiles are. So let's change the color. First of all, sr.setColor to color.white here, and then do sr.setColor to color.blue, so we can tell a difference between the rectangles and the vector2s. So vector2, import that v in w.getObjects. Then we're going to do sr.ellipse. It's going to be v.x, v.y, and then we're just going to do 10 and 10. And as you can see, our objects are all here as they are in our map. Pretty spot on. So that's basically the tutorial. I will make a tutorial on how to get tiled some other time, but this is the important part because you guys all want to get started on this. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time at club and in our next video. Bye.